Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin with update from the presidency. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday dismissed 5 ministers from his cabinet and appointed 7 others. This was contained in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Communication and Strategy, Bayo Anonuga, on Wednesday. The affected ministers include Uju Ken Ohanenye as Minister of Women Affairs, Lola Adejon as Minister of Tourism, Tahir Maman as Minister of Education, Abdullahi Gwazo as Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, and Jamila Ibrahim as Minister of Youth Development. According to Onanuga, President Tinubu nominated Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu as the Minister of State Foreign Affairs, while Nentawe Yilwada as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, officially bringing an end to the tenure of suspended Beta Edu. The president also nominated Maigeri Dingyadi as the Minister of Labor and Employment, Jumoke Oduole as the Minister of Industry, Ndi Maiha as Minister for the newly created Livestock Development Ministry, Yusufata as the Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, with Suwaiba Ahmed as Minister of State, Education. In the meantime, the president also appointed media professional Sunday Dari as Special Advisor on Public Communication and Orientation. Dari served as Minister of Youth and Sports Development under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
The first one, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, is the person who has been appointed is Dr. Nentawe Yilwada, I think it's from Plateau State. That's Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. That's the no minister, if approved by the Senate. The next one is Muhammadu Maigeri Dingyadi, who is now the Minister of Labor and Employment. He now go to the, I think he's Minister of State before, he's now going to the, he's Minister of Labor and Employment, Federal Minister of Employment. I think Substantive Minister of Labor. Bianca Odinaka Odumegu Ojukwu, she's been appointed Minister of State Foreign Affairs. Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, she is now the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Idi Mukhtar Meher is the Minister of the new Ministry of Livestock Development. Right Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta is the Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development. And lastly, Suwaiba Said Ahmad, that is a doctor, is the Minister of State, Ministry of Education.
To discuss this development, we're joined by public affairs commentator Jide Johnson. Jide, thank you for joining us. The president has been really busy today. 10 ministers reassigned to new portfolios, 2 ministries scrapped and 2 others merged. Your thoughts on this rejig? Did you expect it?
Well, it come as a surprise because many had felt that this will have happened on October 1st when the president gave the independence address, thinking that there will be a cabinet reshuffle. But you know that the expectation of Nigerians over time is that there will have been a cabinet reshuffle, at least 1 year after the assumption of office by the president. But this came as a surprise to a lot of people monitoring the public sphere with respect to not expecting this to come at this particular point. At this particular point in time, you know, the president came back from 2 weeks holiday abroad, and the next thing we see in his first working week, we had a cabinet reshuffle and the merging of ministries.
Does the appointment of a replacement for the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction for suspended Beta Edu kind of opens her up for investigation or put the question the government touted about fighting corruption on the front burner?
Well, I think that we have not seen a foreclosure, and every Nigerian is expecting a foreclosure on that particular matter beyond the suspension. What level of investigation have they carried out with respect to that particular allegation on mismanagement of funds in that particular ministry? That's one. On the other hand, people are also interested, what are the safety measures that are put in place to ensure that such abuse does not happen again in the near term? Because if you have not addressed the loopholes that allegedly was exploited by the former minister, then you have also provided an opportunity for the current ministers to step on banana peel, because I don't think that there's never been any measure that has been taken in place to address the loophole that was exploited concerning that. And don't also forget, it reflects on the issue raised by Senator Abdullah Ningi with respect to the padding of budgets and the rest of it, which led to his own suspension too. All of the issue raised concerning the suspension of Better Edu, concerning Ningi's allegation of budget padding, all of those issues have not been addressed. It is still business as usual, in my own opinion.
I'm sure a lot of persons are particularly interested in ID Maiha, I hope I got him right, as Minister for the newly created Livestock Development Ministry. How significant do you think this ministry is? And is this the move to effectively end farmers-herders clashes?
As far as I'm concerned, there's no need for that ministry. It should be a department under the Ministry of Agriculture. If you are creating ministry for livestock and whatever, you should also create ministry for fisheries, and so that people that are engaging in fishing too can have a ministry to themselves. If we are looking at ways in cutting costs, if you're looking at ways in rationalizing government and reducing the cost of governance and ensuring that there's effective management of government affairs by ministries, departments, and agencies of government, we shouldn't be having an over-bloated cabinet. What we are looking at is probably the president will have reduced this ministry to 18, whereby you have 18 substantive ministers and 18 minister of states as provided for by the Constitution. You know, the Constitution made the provisions for each of the state of the federation to have a minister in the federal executive cabinet, whether it's a substantive minister or whether it's a minister of state. But I think that having a cabinet of 18 substantive ministers and 18 minister of state would have sufficed. In actual sense, you could even have ministries, you could even not have members from federal cabinet, because from Lagos State and Benue State, for example, because you already have automatic member in the president and the vice president. So the cabinet is too wieldy. Seven ministers, 5 ministers were relieved of their duty plus Better Edu, which makes it 6. 7 ministries were created. And so if you look at it, if you saw when Bayo Onanuga was trying to address the press on that particular matter, it was not even coherent. It was not coherent, and it was not on top of the particular issue. I think he just got the brief and himself has not gone through the brief, because he was a bit confused in making his presentation, even calling for clarification from some of his aides to give him information with respect to who is occupying which office and who is staying in which office and who is substantive and who is Minister of State. So
just to go back briefly to Better Edu suspension, what do you think this government has to do to show a little more seriousness that allegations of corruptions are properly investigated and the Nigerian people are informed of the outcome of that investigation and punishment where necessary is meted out?
I read a book. He said, if you don't want to get anything done, set up a committee. I think Aesop and the CEO, written by David Nuna. He said, if you don't want to get anything done, set up a committee. And he said, if you want to waste people time, call for a meeting. Now, when you have too many committees, at the end of the day, you don't get a report. You must have a system in place to discipline people. For example, when that allegation came, the agencies of government, you don't even need a special committee set up by the president or by the Federal Executive Council. They are relevant agencies, the EFCC, the police and the rest of which they could have done their own independent investigation without fear of favor, and then necessary sanction that should be applied will have been applied, other than setting up a committee to investigate the matter. What has come out of every committee that has been set up to investigate one issue of corruption or the other in Nigeria? What has come out of it? At the end of the day, they wait for time to lapse. They know that we have short memory, and another issue will come, and then we let go of that particular issue. Another issue will take the front burner, and we forget about that particular issue of corruption.
Jide, thank you as always for sharing your thoughts with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Felicity. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you on tonight. In a related development, President Bola Tinubu has dissolved the Niger Delta Ministry and the Ministry of Sports Development. The decision was announced today by the Presidential Advisor, Bayo Ananuga, following a Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. A newly created Ministry of Regional Development will now oversee all regional commissions, including the Niger Delta Development Commission. Meanwhile, the responsibilities of the Ministry of Sports Development have been transferred to the National Sports Commission, which will now handle all sports activities in Nigeria. Also, the Ministry of Tourism has been merged with the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, creating a single entity to streamline operations in both sectors.
The immediate implementation of 8 far-reaching actions to reinvigorate the administration's capacity for optimal efficiency pursuant of its commitment to deliver on its promises to Nigerians. The 8 actions approved by the President include: 1, as the Minister of Information had already told us, the renaming of the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to Ministry of Regional Development to oversee the activities of all the regional development commissions. The regional development commissions to be under the supervision of the new ministry are the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Southeast Development Commission, the Northeast Development Commission, and the Northwest Development Commission. 2, the immediate winding up of the Ministry of Sports Development and the transfer of its functions to the National Sports Commission to develop a vibrant sports economy. Number 3, the merger of the Federal Ministry of Tourism and the Federal Ministry of Arts and Culture to become Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and the Creative Economy.
Let's also tell you that President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday swore in Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello as the new chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau. The brief ceremony took place ahead of the Federal Executive Council meeting, which was also chaired by the President. After the swearing-in, Bello spoke to State House correspondents, pledging to tackle corruption through the Bureau. He emphasized the importance of integrity and accountability among public officials, vowing to uphold the agency's mandate.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Mr. President for appointing me into this position. I'm really happy, and I want to assure Mr. President and the people of Nigeria I will do my best to make sure that I deal with this huge task that is ahead of me. Like you mentioned, Code of Conduct Bureau is the foremost anti-corruption agency, the first anti-corruption agency in Nigeria, and I intend to deliver on the mandates of the Bureau. It's all about making sure that people, public servants, they behave with integrity, they avoid corruption, no conflict of interest. So that is the aim of it. Integrity, accountability, that is what the duties that I need to deliver. And I promise Nigerians that, inshallah, I'm going to do my best to make sure that I deliver on the mandate of the Bureau. Thank you very much.
All right, so you have gone around the world,
yes.
UK, US, you've seen it all. From what you have observed in the past of those who have come before you,
yes.
Where do you think the challenge is really about conduct in this country, and what do you intend to do to fix this?
I always say that it's not about the individuals. Everybody can be corrupt in the world. It doesn't matter whether you are in the UK, whether in the US, everybody has a tendency to be corrupt. one of the most important things is the systems that we have in place to check it. So if we have the systems in Nigeria, we are going to be dealing with this problem. So I assure you that we have the systems, we have the institutions. We only need to deliver on the mandate that is given to us, and then everything will be all right.
Benue State Governor suspends Attorney General over EFCC legality suit. We'll tell you more when we come back from this break. Do stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. In a surprising move, President Tinubu sacks 5 ministers, appoints 7 others. President Tinubu dissolves Niger Delta and Sports Ministries. Benue State Governor suspends Attorney General over EFCC legality suit. And SADC observers arrive ahead of Botswana presidential elections. Thank you for staying with us. Prominent members of the organized private sector has raised concerns over frequent collapses of the national power grid, saying the development is crippling already distressed businesses. Among the business groups that expressed concern were the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, and the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI. This is even as the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, warned that the frequent collapse of the national grid has continued to hinder economic growth and slow down enterprise sustainability efforts, given the high energy costs businesses currently have to deal with. Away from that, let's now tell you that Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia, has suspended the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Fidelis Mining, for joining a suit challenging the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's EFCC's legality without his approval. This action follows the withdrawal of 3 other states, Anambra, Adamawa, and Ebonyi, from the suit. Mining suspension was confirmed by the governor's spokesperson, who stated that he failed to inform the governor before joining the suit. The governor's decision reflects his disapproval of the unauthorized action. The federal government has withdrawn the money laundering charges preferred against Binance Holdings Limited executive Tigran Gambayan, Binance U.S. head of financial crime compliance. Gambayan and the exchange British Kenyan Regional Manager for Africa, Nadeem Ajawala, were facing money laundering charges to the tune of $35 million brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Gambayan and Ajawala were initially both detained in the custody of the Office of the National Security Advisor. Ajawala, however, fled lawful custody on March 22, 2024, while his counterpart, Gambayan, was arraigned in April. Following his arraignment, the court ordered his remand to Kuje Correctional Facility. In the meantime, the case of alleged bribery and misappropriation of public funds involving the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, and 7 others has been adjourned to November 20 by a Kano State High Court. Ganduje, alongside his wife, Hafsat Umar, and several associates, faces an 8-count charge of bribery, misappropriation, and diverting public funds amounting to billions of naira. The charges were brought by the Kano State government, which alleges that the defendants were involved in the illicit diversion and mismanagement of public resources. During Wednesday's court session, which was set for the hearing of a preliminary objection filed by the 6th defendant, counsel to the plaintiff informed the court that they were prepared to proceed. All right, serious concerns are emerging over the state of the Federal Teaching Hospital in Lokoja, Kogi State, north-central Nigeria. Reports of structural issues and deteriorating service delivery have been circulating, and now new revelation, are shedding light on the severity of the situation. Our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, spoke to residents in the state who shared their experience and frustrations with the hospital services.
real name is a resident of Lokoja, the Kogi state capital. Adejo is among many who have been affected by the crisis at the Federal Teaching Hospital in Lokoja between the hospital management and some staff of the hospital. With a heavy heart, he continues to mourn the recent loss of his mother, who lost her life due to negligence at the hospital facility as she was unable to receive adequate care before her unfortunate demise.
My mom just passed on of recent for the hospital. The day we carry and come, we do emergency. Proper, as in, we cause serious noise for emergency there. Imagine my mom don't carry my mom come there around as early as to 7 in the morning. Before every the trained doctor will come attend to her, almost around after 5. Many patients they die. No be see natural sickness. Now just because of attention they no give them, make many patients they die.
Now the talk says sometimes they know they get light. See, yes, for darkness go just day.
Yes, they know they get light. Mainly now the emergency and generator the emergency they run now.
Some other patients say a hospital should be a place of healing and care. For Jemilu Abdullahi, the teaching hospital has become a place of shock and delusionment.
Well, from outside now we see the structure of the place fine. You mean say the inside not fine?
At all. If you go to the bedroom, you like, is human using this very bedroom or animal? Like you ask this question, now human being they use this bedroom, I've been an animal they use. One thing I just discovered is they just paint the outside, do little innovation. So if you are passing, you see that this place is okay, but go inside and see it yourself.
Another resident, Ezekiel Jonathan, a middle-aged man, also resident in Lokoja, says that he received a prescription from the same hospital, hoping to finally get drugs for his father. However, what should have been a straightforward visit to the hospital NHIS pharmacy turned out to be a frustrating ordeal for the 4th time in recent months.
If you look at everything here, it's complete politics going on here. Just now they prescribe drugs. I went to the NHIS pharmacy. Those drugs are not there. I had to come outside of the hospital to get these drugs. And this is not the first time. I think this is the 4th time now this is happening. There's nothing working here. Go through the wards everywhere. I don't have much to say, but if there is a way things can change here, which I don't think is possible.
Several attempts have been made to reach the management of the Federal Teaching Hospital in Lokoja. The hospital public relations officer declined to comment on the matter, but instead directed News Central to consult with the Kogi State chapter of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. In Lokoja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Many thanks, Joshua, for that report. Let's circle back a bit to our earlier story on the concerns by business owner over the repeated national grid collapse. To give us some perspective on this, we're joined by President, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, Femi Egbeshola. Femi, thank you for joining us. How have the frequent grid collapses impacted your operations, and what contingency measures have you had to implement to mitigate these effects?
The effect has been very adverse on our operations. You know, really, those of us who are in the small and medium scale enterprise and sector do not really have enough bond to cushion the effect of electricity collapse when it happens. So most times we have to shut down operations. For some of us who have the fund to run generator, it increases the cost of our production, and at the end of the day, reduce our profitability. And for that reason, it ends up making the prices of our goods and commodities to go up in the market. And you already know that the consumers already have their purchasing power eroded, and that makes them be unable to purchase much of our products and services as they should be. In the alternative, we've been trying to look at how we can get alternative power supply like solar and other green energy, but it has always been very expensive. For the manufacturing sector, it's the worst hit in the sense that most times they depend solely on power generated by the national grid, and when it collapses, they have to shut down their operations. And for them to restart or re-energize the production line takes some hours, at times days, with a very huge cost. And again, this is also scaring away investors who ordinarily want to come and invest in our country, in our business. But when they see this epileptic power supply, it discourages them to do so. Cost of maintenance of generators is another thing where we have to rely on generator anytime we have this collapse of the national grid. For us, our recommendation is that government should begin to look at the root causes of these several collapses we've been having for the past 10 years, particularly this year. And we also believe that it is time for government to be thinking of privatizing this electricity sector, particularly the national grid sector, so that we can have more reliable energy and power for us to be able to do our business. SME is the backbone of the economy, and anything that affects us, particularly our production cost and profitability, is a big deal for us.
Femi, just to go back to your submission about privatization, is this a consensus among business owners that privatization and decentralization of the power sector is the way to go, or it's maybe some of you?
It's a general consensus among every business owner this time. That's the way to go, is to privatize the national grid. And that's the only way we can have sustainable electricity supply, particularly for production businesses. And we believe also that we have a lot of investors who are ready to put their money down if government chooses to prioritize and privatize this particular sector.
What support mechanisms or incentives can the government provide to help businesses recover from the economic losses incurred due to these frequent grid collapses, and how can this be sustained for a longer period?
Well, we have already said that there should be a policy for some form of intervention anytime there is a national collapse of the national electricity grid. For example, for the manufacturing sector, when they are collapsed, the electricity distribution companies still charge the same amount, 250% as they used to charge, without taking into consideration the menace that the collapse has done to businesses and the cost that has been incurred in the process. So we believe that government should begin to intervene by finding a way to provide some form of funding to support industries to be able to have their own independent power supply. We also believe that the policy that surrounds energy and electricity should enable businesses and communities to be able to also do their own power supplies, generate and supply to other users that may be around the community. We also believe too that anytime there is an electricity collapse, there should be some form of palliatives, perhaps reducing the cost of electricity charge or tariff during that time to be able to cushion the effect on manufacturers particularly, even on households. It's also very tasking when we have electricity collapse most times because it affects household by running on generator, increasing costs and causing a lot of stress, noise, pollution, and all of that.
Femi, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thousands of artisans at the renowned mechanic village in Ikeja Central Business District, Lagos, are on edge, facing imminent eviction and potential demolition. News Centre's Igbelani Omoni reports.
The mechanic village spreads over 47,000 square meters in the heart of Ikeja, sheltering over 5,000 auto mechanics, traders, and artisans. While they have operated for decades under an agreement that their structures are temporary, the village has grown into a thriving business hub, generating millions of naira in revenue daily from the sales of tire, spare parts, and other accessories. But the future of this enterprise is now in doubt, placing jobs and economic prosperity at risk.
Mr. Samuel Kayode, we call him Eson. Okay. So it's Chief Eson. Actually, this case has been in process for a while, which we won then through the MOT on Friday, which was last week. They just came in without even calling anybody, started painting walls, spraying walls, remove within 24 hours. We have to stop them. Who are you people? Where did you come from? And they say they are from Ministry of Environment. Now they have Ministry of Sophia General in their midst.
We have been voting for APC since all these days. I don't know why my people will be doing this thing for us.
If the landlords are going to take us away from them, let government try and look for where they are going to put us.
At least if they give us 2 years, we will still appreciate them.
2 years notice.
Yes.
Daily sales range from 6,000 to 20,000 naira and more per trader. Collectively, they remit taxes of 10,000 naira to 20,000 naira per individual. The latest development leaves Pastor Emmanuel Akoma and his client worried about potential disruptions.
Leaving the place you are before to another place, it must affect you, no matter how wealthy you are.
I think he's the only convenient person I've known. And if I'm to do something like this, it will be Jankara, to be costing me my transportation.
Mrs. Faye Shayo, who has traded in the village for over 16 years with other merchants, live in fear of an uncertain future.
Because I pay my children's school fees. At least they are my siblings that are in the schools that also cater for them. And I still have my father over there too. So it's going to affect me a lot.
Markings of potential removers span across various shops and fences, covering approximately 80% of the village. Worship centers and secretariats are not left out. Still reeling from the development, the village gets served notice of some environmental violations.
Just kind of coincidental that that man came while the situation was still boiling. That was why most of them are just challenging him. We've been to this, we've been to this.
However, some factions believe this is still an attempt by certain individuals to forcibly evict and disrupt operations. For now, villagers must wait the assurances received from government officials.
So you believe in us, and definitely we are going to work on it.
Nobody's going to demolish until when they do the fact-finding and know where is it coming from. They are still going to set up a panel, which we are going to be duly represented there.
Was the date set for the panel?
They want to investigate before. They don't even know the guy that wants to come and encroach the land. So, but we give them the name, so they will investigate and so that they can get in touch with the person.
Efforts to obtain contact information for the individual allegedly seeking evictions proved unsuccessful, as everyone claimed not to have their contact details. As tensions rise, artisans anxiously await a resolution. The fate of the iconic mechanic village and the livelihoods it supports hang in the balance.
If this place is demolished now, what is the other option for all the people that are standing here right now?
There's no other option.
No option.
In Lagos 4 News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has flagged off the construction of the access road to judges' quarters at the Katampe district of Abuja. The minister, while assuring those present that the FCTA will work towards fulfilling the promise of President Bola Tinubu to citizens, assured that there will be no abandoned project by the current administration. My colleague Amadine Uyi tells us more.
Nyesom Wike is here with
It's the third flag off ceremony by the FCT administration. This time the ceremony is a flag off of the construction of access road from the arterial N11 to judges' quarters within cadastral zone B07 at the Katampe district of Abuja.
Let me say clearly today that what we are doing is to make sure that every district, just like when in Katampe yesterday, today when the Mabushi axis, we will not rest until we see that all the districts are all connected with good roads.
It's an inter-district collector road, starting from Ahmadu Bello Way, where you tee in to come in, and incidentally at the intersection of where the future bus terminal for the FCT is coming to be on ground.
We are not just breaking ground on a road today. We are taking a big step forward in improving the infrastructures that helps keep our federal capital city moving and growing.
Lawmakers present commended the FCT minister for his commitment to providing infrastructure for the capital and keeping to a clear, focused plan.
There is no doubt from what we have been witnessing in FCT. Development, this kind of development is unprecedented. I have to emphasize this, that you are a minister that have been balancing your project. The area councils are not left out, and we sincerely appreciate you for all this.
I think he's the only minister that his budget don't last 48 hours. Your Excellency, for the record, you make it easier for us. You are the only minister that will bring a budget that is straight to the point. Recurrent expenditure is less than 2 digits. 2 digits. Everything capital.
more than 95% is capital. So what are you going to waste time to do? You make the job easy for us. There is nothing like computer. You don't see computer. You don't see any foreign trip. Nothing. So you make the job easy.
The Minister of the FCT assured that the administration will continue to work towards fulfilling President Bola Tinubu's vision for citizens of the country.
These rules are very key for us in order to reduce the hardship our people are facing. And that's the mandate Mr. President has given, that every district in Abuja, before we create new districts, the ones that have been created should have the basic infrastructure that cities are supposed to have.
He assured contractors and all present that there will be no abandoned project by the current administration. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Observers have begun arriving in Botswana to monitor activities ahead of the October 30 general election. Tanzania's former Prime Minister, Mizengo Pinda, leads the SADC Electoral Observation Mission, which joins other groups from the Commonwealth and the African Union to observe the upcoming elections. Pinda said the SADC Electoral Observers Mission is in line with the regional bloc's aspiration to hold democratic elections within member states. The SADC has been criticized for failing to hold errant members to account, with the recent Zimbabwe and Mozambique polls blessed as free and fair despite reported irregularities. SADC Executive Secretary said the bloc can only make recommendations and its reports are not binding on member states. Let's now get some business updates from our business team.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, leaders from the G24 group of developing countries gathered at the sidelines of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank annual meetings to discuss pressing issues in sub-Saharan Africa. In a joint press conference, representatives highlighted the region's economic challenges and ongoing efforts of central banks to curb inflation and stabilize the economy. Nigeria's Central Bank Governor Wale Edu, who was also at the event, highlighted measures the bank had taken so far.
The issues and that we are contending with in Africa mean that we in many ways, we're bystanders to this all-important election. Yes, we do have the African Growth and Opportunities Act, which tries to open up the U.S. market to African manufactured products. I don't think that will be affected in any way by the results of this election. And generally, what we are finding is that at this particular time, the economies of trade generally, there's a reversal of globalization of trade. There's a move to protectionism in these countries. There's onboarding of production, and all these things tend to work against the developing world's ability to benefit from expanding trade, and thereby use that opportunity for investment, for growth, and for job creation and poverty reduction.
South Africa's inflation rate took a significant dive in September, reaching its lowest level in over 3 years. This unexpected drop has fueled expectations that the central bank will further reduce interest rates at its next meeting. The annual consumer price inflation rate fell to 3.8% from 4.4% in August, exceeding market expectations. This development suggests that the South African Reserve Bank's monetary policy is effectively managing inflation within its target range of 3 to 6%. Economists anticipate that the central bank will continue its gradual easing cycle, with another 25 basis point rate cut likely in November.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The federal government has dissolved the Ministry of Sports Development and resurrected the National Sports Commission. Let's now join Babatunde Koiki for more sports update.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to Sports. In a major restructuring of Niger's sports administration, President Bola Tinubu and the Federal Executive Council have dissolved the Ministry of Sports Development. The decision, announced on Wednesday by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, follows a meeting in Abuja on Tuesday. The responsibilities of the defunct ministry will be transferred to the newly created National Sports Commission, which will now oversee all sports-related activities nationwide. Former Niger Football Federation Vice President Shehu Diko has been appointed as the chairman of the commission, while the former Minister of Sports Development, John Owan Eno, is now Minister of State for Trade and Investment. Ethiopia has reaffirmed its ambition to host the 2029 Africa Cup of Nations finals using the Confederation of African Football Congress in Addis Ababa to advance its bid. Despite lacking suitable international stadiums, Ethiopia has pledged to construct at least 6 new venues to meet the competition's requirements. The Ethiopian government hosted a gala dinner for CAF officials, with President Taye Atske-Selassie reiterating the East African nation's interest first expressed in June. Ethiopia, a CAF founding member, last hosted the tournament in 1976, having previously held it in 1962 and 1968. Ethiopia won the tournament in 1962 but failed to progress beyond the group stage in 1976. The Los Angeles Clippers will honor NBA legend Jerry West this season with an empty seat in their new arena and a court decal featuring his initials. West, who passed away in June at the age of 86, served as a consultant for the franchise from 2017 until his death. The team will debut these tributes along with a video honoring West during the season opener against the Phoenix Suns at the Intuit Dome. West was also honored earlier this year with an empty seat in the Clippers' draft war room. Recently, he became the first 3-time inductee into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, recognized for his contributions to multiple teams. The Lakers are also honoring West with a number 44 uniform band this season. In boxing, Britain's Tyson Fury says he's determined to knock out Alexander Usyk in their upcoming rematch for the Unified Heavyweight Championship on December 21st in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Usyk won their first meeting in May by a split decision, ending Fury's 35-fight undefeated streak. At a press conference in London today, Fury expressed his focus and strategic approach for the rematch, recalling his successful track record in rematches where he has previously knocked out opponents like Deontay Wilder and Derek Chisora. On his part, Usyk arrived at the event dressed as the iconic Agent 47 from the successful Hitman game and movie franchise. The Ukrainian, who remains unbeaten in 22 professional fights, playfully teased Fury throughout. Notably, all 4 heavyweight titles won't be at stake, as Usyk vacated the IBF title earlier this year, which is now held by Britain's Daniel Dubois. And finally, Novak Djokovic has officially withdrawn from the 2024 Paris Masters, unable to defend his title at the tournament, where he holds a record 7 championships and 2 runner-up finishes. The Serbian star decided to end his season early, leaving his participation in the ATP finals uncertain, as he currently sits in 6th place in the ATP race. Although Djokovic was listed to compete, he will not be part of the draw. Recently, he played in the Six Kings Slam exhibition in Saudi Arabia, finishing 3rd against Rafael Nadal in what may be their last encounter. Djokovic expressed regret over missing the Paris Masters, sharing his fond memories of the event and hopes to return next year. His future participation remains unclear as he considers his schedule for 2025.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News, Idris Elba, the 52-year-old actor known for Wire and Luther, is leading efforts to build film studios in Zanzibar and Accra, Ghana to uplift Africa's film industry with strong ties with the continent. Elba plans to live in various African cities over the next 5 to 10 years to help tell authentic African stories. Elba emphasizes the need for Africans to take charge of their own storytelling, highlighting the potential for global audiences to understand Africa beyond its historical traumas. While Nollywood thrives, he acknowledges gaps in infrastructure and training across Africa's film industry. Through his initiative, Elba aims to provide resources that empower African filmmakers to share their rich culture narratives to the world. Tyler, the Creator, has officially announced a 2025 world tour in support of his highly anticipated album, Chromacopia, set to be released on October 28, 2024. The Chromacopia, the world tour, promoted by AEG Present, will feature special guests like Lil Yachty and Paris, Texas. The tour will take place across North America, Europe, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand throughout 2025. The announcement of the tour coincides with the debut of Noid, the first full single and accompanying music video for Chromacopia. The video stars actor Ayo Edebiri, who portrays a frenzied fan chasing after Tyler with a gun in her hand while tears stream down her face. With the upcoming tour and new album, Tyler, the Creator, is set to continue his creative evolution, building on his already diverse body of work. Chromacopia follows his critically acclaimed album Call Me If You Get Lost and IGOR, promising to further push the boundaries of his musical artistry. The addition of Lil Yachty and Paris, Texas as tour guests adds even more excitement for fans eager to experience Tyler's unique blend of music and performance live on a global stage. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
And that is all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the headlines. In a surprising move, President Tinubu has sacked 5 ministers and appointed 7 others. President Tinubu has also dissolved the Niger Delta and sports ministries. Benue State Governor has suspended his Attorney General over EFCC legality suit. We also brought you news that the SADC observers have arrived ahead of Botswana presidential elections. You can catch up on all the latest news on News Central, that is on social media, and you can watch live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind company. Have a good night rest.